Welcome to our second podcast, Legal Huddle. Here we are with our guest star, Meghan Flanagan.
Hello.
It is three of us this time.
Yes, we're very, very excited to have Meghan here, but we're going to start with the huddle of the Legal Huddle and talk about the Super Bowl.
I like this. Yeah. How did that go for everybody?
Well, it was boring.
Yeah,
Very
it
boring.
was very boring.
I agree. It was boring. Can we get a touchdown, please? I mean, this is, I think, what football is about.
I know. I think that I was more into snack time than I was the game, and snack time was pretty much the whole game. So,
Yeah.
it was just not. I just wish there would have been a little bit more action. Like that's what we want for the Super Bowl. We don't want this low scoring,
Yeah,
3 points here, 3 points there.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, it wasn't so of course, if your team was in it, you're probably more happier about it. But it just wasn't what we would have hoped, especially with us coming out with the season, this podcast, and liking our team so much. Which, by the way, Megan, what is your team?
The Bears or the Bears.
The Bears. Yeah.
However you want to say it.
So that would be 1 and 2 against one.
Yeah, two Bears.
Okay, but
and a
by the
Packer.
way, neither one of the teams made it to the Super Bowl, so we're in clean slate.
In my opinion, close. In my opinion, I'm sorry. The Bears are the ones that need to go again.
Yeah,
I know they're Super
they're
Bowl
not going
shuffle.
Oh
I
my,
mean,
oh my God, that would be awesome.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay, but I don't know about Caleb Williams doing the Super Bowl shuffle.
he can do it.
I mean, I know he can, but like, I don't know. That was so classic.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like
they can
refrigerator
reshuffle.
Perry, and are you going to shuffle with them?
Reshuffle.
Yeah, reshuffle.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I know. Should I talk to them?
We should copyright that before the Bears take it.
But I also want to just mention and remind everybody that the Bears took out the Packers from their Super Bowl chances, and that's why they weren't in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think either team would have probably done better than what we saw. Don't hold me on that.
I would have hoped so, because New England, Seattle, great. They were the best of the best, apparently. And congrats to Seattle won, right? I mean, that's how bad it is. I don't even remember. Seattle won.
Yes, Seattle.
Okay. Oh, Seattle in their 12th man. But anyway, so it is what it is. But yeah. So the end of the football season, and now we're
That's it. Waiting for the
watching
draft.
the Olympics. Are you guys watching the Olympics?
Olympics are fun to watch.
I have not watched the Olympics, but I did see the fall.
Wait, what fall?
The skiing fall, which broke.
Oh,
yeah.
I did see that.
Yeah,
Oof.
that's the bad one.
What about the 20-year-old? I know we're totally getting off on it's not even huddle right now, but
That's okay.
the 20-year-old female skater that won the gold medal yesterday, she was the first gold medal winning from the USA in 24 years.
I didn't realize that. I was a little busy
It's
yesterday.
just like she's kind of one of those like alt girls, if you will. She has this like really cool hairstyle and
Oh, I did see that.
yeah,
Yes.
and she's totally super cool. Like apparently she was at the last Olympics and then she retired and then she came out of retirement just last year and then just smoked everybody.
Well, yeah, she knows a lot more about this right now because we are out here working hard and she's watching Olympics.
I'm into curling too.
Oh, well.
We are in Olympic City.
Yes, we are in Olympic City, Colorado Springs.
That is true.
Exactly. Okay. So we are going to move on from the whole sports arena and move more back into our LLPs. So we brought Meghan here. Meghan is also on the El Paso County Bar Association LLP section leadership. So she is our treasurer secretary. And we're just going to talk with Meghan and amongst ourselves about how firms are implementing the LLP program. And so Meghan, we'll just kind of turn it over to you and you can tell us what your firm's doing.
What my firm's doing. So my firm does co-counsel. So we actually counsel, like I have the LLP and the attorney. And so I do everything within my scope, and anything that's outside of my scope, that attorney hops in. So this way the client doesn't have to go find and retain an attorney. So they have that real team right there for them. I will also say, like, we give clients the option, obviously pursuant to our scope and our rules, we have to provide them with our scope and rules prior to consulting with them and when they retain. So we give them that option on that after they read it to either do the LLP co-counsel or just attorney handling, or they have a third option, which opens it up as well, which is, do you want to discuss this with the team? And sometimes we do that. It's been working out really, really well. I think that, and a good example is a case that I had that turned to a protection order. It was a separate case. It was obviously, outside my scope, in my opinion, because it is in El Paso County. They make it a civil. They do not commingle it with the DR. And at that point, a client had already met the attorney I was working with, was totally ready to just pop over here. I said, here's the best team member, loved it. Then she shuffled back to me. It's a very well-oiled machine. I also think it's a little cost efficient for the clients when they're like, okay, well, the LLP, yes, we're at the lower rate and it helps and we can do as much as we can until it's outside of our scope. So that's sort of how we've been doing it right now. We do unbundled cases as well. And that's where we're just there to assist. I think almost all attorneys and law firms do unbundled, but I think it's really hitting good on the LLP cases, the people that do not have the income to retain an attorney. They don't have this retainer. So they come in and some of the questions are so simple, but they're not to them. It's the first time they've ever looked at any of this stuff and they don't know where to file it. They don't know where to get it. They don't know what to put in it. And now with a license, I can just advise them on that. And I don't have to do a full entry. I have one right now. We're pushing to settlement and she's saved a lot by doing that. So that's how I've been handling it at my firm. I really, really like it though. I think it's just been beneficial. Clients have been very happy with it.
And this is, I think, what the more important point about this program is. We're trying to save money to people that can really afford it, and help along the way.
And I think that, so my firm does the same thing that Megan's firm does, and Jessica does the same, right? With
not a little bit different, yeah.
Sort of. But there are other firms out there that are doing where LLPs are strictly just doing LLP work. They're not doing a co-counseling situation unless it then needs to get handed over to an attorney when it's outside their scope. There's also several LLPs in the state that have opened their own practice. So it's really exciting to see where this program is going. Here in Colorado, we're very, very proud of it. So Megan, have you gotten any feedback yet on clients that have used you as an LLP? Like what are they saying as far as a client perspective?
I think that, they don't really have feedback that's saying I'm different than an attorney or they're glad they didn't go with an attorney. I'm not getting that kind of feedback where they're like, oh, I'm glad I didn't hire an attorney and I saved money. I get a lot of clients that just truly do not have those funds. Every penny counts. I have clients that, want to give me a call and I tell you, they wait for that whole hour and they try to get it all in there because they really don't have the money to just be throwing that out. And it's not like these other cases that we're on where we're paralegals or, we have our attorneys in our firm handling them that they're throwing away money. It's just those are the higher asset ones where they have that money available. But I get a lot of them where there's domestic violence, coercive control, where like the other side is controlling all the funds. So my client doesn't have access to funds. And that's a very common thing with DV, and it prevents them from getting adequate representation. I think I get a lot more feedback, honestly, from like mediators and other counsel. And the feedback I've gotten is they feel like I'm more prepared. And I think that is the good part about the LLPs, especially the first cohort that we are, is we have decades of experience and we actually come into a mediation knowing the whole file. And we do so much on the case. So I feel like we're so prepared. And it's like, even though we're not, experienced LLPs, meaning it's only been a couple of years, you have to think that our knowledge as a paralegal over the years, we kind of know how we want to run our cases. We know how to talk to people. We know what's needed. We've just never been able to implement it because we've always had to be under the direction of an attorney. So now we're making the decisions. But I haven't gotten that much feedback from clients besides, oh my God, you're awesome, but I am. But
yes,
not specific to the difference between LLP and attorney. I haven't had any negative feedback where somebody's wanted to, get the advice of the attorney and I'm not going to listen to you or anything. Mm-hmm. I haven't had that experience as the co-counsel when they know that the attorney was with me. I've only had it where they say, okay, well, if we're going to go to hearing, what do you think the attorney thinks on that? Should we settle here? They want to talk to the litigator a lot who's going to be taking them to the hearing. And it's more in terms of how that's going to work. When is it turning over to them? That kind of stuff. With the new rules that are coming into effect, I think that they are in effect, but I think the firms are now working on implementing that. The LLPs that take their own cases around the area, they're already just on the case on their own and they were already going into court, but not litigating, obviously not examining, cross-examining witnesses. But I feel like now the firms are looking at how we're going to implement that. And I don't know what the new change is going to be. It only happened in December. I myself have not gone to a hearing. But I think I'm going to get as much training as I can and start trying to do those. So it might change how we're doing the co-counsel and how we're offering services to clients. Because I do have some in the past where I wish we could have done that. And I now looking back, I'm like, I wish they were the client now and I could have saved them the money. by taking them to court. And these are smaller issues. These are not like these, I think attorneys think that we're coming in on these very complex cases. These are issues with child support, minimal assets, but they don't know what hearsay is. They don't know what any of that is. So they need the help. So
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think that's part of this, what this program is really there for. And with that new change, we're getting a lot of training right now. We just completed the trial school. We're doing a mock trial. We're doing, just information gathering so we can be out there and really do a good job for everyone. Now, we all seen trials. We all been to hearings, so we know what's going on with that. But yeah, I think.
But I think it's a lot different going to trial and being an observer than actually being a participant.
Right.
And so I think that's where we're starting to learn to kind of jump over that line.
Yeah, and we're hearing good feedback from the bench because they really like seeing us out there helping. So instead of two pro se parties there, they have an LLP maybe with one pro se party trying to help the case along, and so that kind of does help, I think. Now, just to mention a little bit now, my system here is more of a hybrid system. I do have my own cases where I'm only the only one on the case. And what happens with those is basically if I find a case that's very fitting for an LLP and it's very, I don't want to say simple, but I can run myself, I will do that. There are some co-counsel cases we have, and then of course still the paralegal cases. So there's a lot of hybrid mixture there, and depends what hat I wear. I can appreciate that and my firm letting us do that because I think it does help some of these people not having to hire on fully with a lower retainer and such. And that's what it's there for, right? We're trying to give access to justice.
Yes, and I think for us as well, we do like at my firm, I'm wearing several hats. I think that is what's kind of happening right now. I don't know if that's going to change in the future, but I think we've all experienced in the firms we've been at, and we know other LLPs at other firms that there is a very big need for paralegals in family law, and it's very hard to hire people that are experienced. A lot of these attorneys are holding on to their paralegals and that are becoming LLPs, but they don't have anybody to step in. So I do think that, that is creating a void. And it is a little, I feel like I'm tap dancing when I'm like, which hat am I wearing? And that part has probably been the most challenging. I think attorneys sometimes don't recognize that in the LLP, that we have to wear different hats most of the time, and where they have the absolute right to practice law in any area of law, there is no at all scope that's out, like it's outside their scope. We have to have that knowledge all the time. That's outside our scope. Can't do that. Also now I'm a paralegal on this case. Can't do that. And it's so hard to know when I can be like, oh, I'm just going to answer the client, and then be like, oh, I'll get you with a call with the attorney, so the different hats are very hard. And I just think it's such a new landscape. Even though we've been doing this for a few years now, when you think about it, what's it going to look like in 10 and 20 years? We don't know.
Yes.
Well, and I think it's changing all the time. Every day it's something new, it's something different. And I think that even the people that are behind, starting the program or doing the research on the program didn't really understand or see the vision long term. Because it's changing so rapidly. The fact that our rules already changed, a little over a year after we got licensed is already showing that, the landscape and the program itself is changing. So I think it's just going to continue changing all.
Right. And I think it does, like Meghan said, create a void, but also I think an opportunity for people to come out of high school, maybe choosing to be a paralegal, legal assistant, something like that, and then going up this route with becoming an LLP and then potentially maybe law school, depending where you want to go with it. So it's creating a new, not just a new licensure, but it created a new path for people that want to go into the legal field, especially in a field under domestic law that is needed. Family law is the only field we can practice in. And so I think this is good, but we have a little void right now, which is unfortunate.
And there are a lot of us that are reaching out to the communities and the local schools, the community colleges, trying to get, more interest in, first and foremost, the paralegal programs, because that's where, majority of us started was, as a paralegal. And so if we can start getting more people interested in being a paralegal, then we can start building that pipeline. Those that'll come after us, or even take over our positions as paralegals so that we can focus just on the LLPs. But Megan's right. I mean, there's a lot of firms that, the LLPs are at that have been there for a long time, that have been that senior paralegal, that have been the managing paralegal, and the firms aren't ready to let go, but they also can't because there's nobody there to turn it over to.
Right.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult, because we're also building our own reputation, not just for our firm, but I think as a whole. I think the more clients we get, and even for me, when I ask them to leave a review, I'm like, if you can leave me a review and mention them in LLP, this not only helps me, it's going to help everyone else in the community to get that word out there for LLPs. Because the same way it is with attorneys, it's the same way with LLPs. Clients need to bond with them. You know what I mean? Like find the right person. And so it's like, there's so many of us LOPs out there that we might as well share that like knowledge and love and support to each other if we need to. I just think it's like really important to get the name out there and just to help each other. And I do think it's hard with some of the firms, I do think some firms don't know how to use them. And I think it's just such a confusing landscape for them and an idea for them. I think it is for everyone. I mean, it was hard for me to wrap my brain around it as we were learning it, and they were changing our scope mid-learning.
Yeah, they did. Or
yeah. So, I mean, and we all three signed up for something that significantly changed in December. We never anticipated being allowed to examine or cross-examine witnesses. That was never something that was spoken about. I'm glad that, the practice of it showed that needed to be. I believe that the bench was saying they feel like, okay, well, why can't they just examine and cross-examine witnesses, because it's actually taking longer, like they're helping, but why can't they just do it? What is the issue? And we're licensed just like an attorney. We have the same like ethical obligations. We have the same stuff that we are going to get malpractice on. There's not anything different with us. We have to operate the same. And I think there's that confusion of, oh, well, they're not like us, or they're, well, what about this? And I'm like, well, just like a baby attorney or anybody else, if you mess up and you get sanctioned, you get sanctioned, and the rules. Like, don't do it. Like, I don't know how to put it. Like, don't.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Now, I had a question I forgot about. Oh, dear.
Oh no.
Here we go. Okay, continue on.
It's been a lot.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Haha, here I am. This is why we're doing this podcast, to help educate the community as well as our peers, as well as anyone interested in the program to become an LP. So that's why we're here for this as well.
So if anybody is interested in any of these programs, whether it be, looking into being a paralegal or an LLP, or even in the law school track, we can, we're here to mentor. Please put your contact information below and we'll reach out to you.
Yes.
But the three of us, we've been in this community for quite a long time.
Yeah. Now, question. Sorry, that was loud.
That kind of startled me.
What's your favorite part about being an LP, Megan?
Oh,
I know. And it'll come
to be honest, I think it's just that one of the things I've really liked about going into this program is I've learned so much in the past couple of years. I've grown so much. I feel like part of it as well as was going through the training, I felt like it was actually teaching me to be a better paralegal. There were so many things that I don't think attorneys appreciate that even paralegals need to know. I feel like I just, that my world opened, and it's not just the ability to, practice law, it's the knowledge that I'm getting. And I feel like I in a way, I love my work even more, and I didn't hate it before, but I just felt like, oh my gosh, now I know all these things. And then I think about different things. Even when I'm a paralegal in a case, I'm operating under that hat. I still feel like I'm offering more to the team because I've gained so much knowledge. I'm being a part of these CLEs. I really wish that, attorneys would see that, and more programs would open up on CLEs, I think, and more firms would pay for paralegals to go to CLEs and not just attorneys and LLPs, because I do think it's beneficial. But that's really my favorite part, is just how much I've learned. I feel like I've grown so much professionally. I think I started out thinking I would never step in the courtroom, and I have now dipped my tiny baby toe in a couple of pre-trial conferences, and a couple of them, they didn't get spicy, but it would be like, I thought to myself, I'm so glad I read that order, because then I have the judge being like, what's the status of this? And I thought, man, I'm happy I read that, because I was thinking like, maybe she'll ask. She did. And then, having an opposing counsel be like, well, I never got any of this. And I'm over here like, I sent that to you, and I'm just like, you're not arguing, but man, you got to be on your toes. And I never thought I'd go into that area. And now I'm like very surprised that I'm kind of like wanting to also just put that baby toe in the water. I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm still have floaties on.
Floaties.
I'm still like,
And now I'm matching our floaties.
You get worried. Like, I worry I'm going to pass out. Like, I will sit during the LLP exam. I'm like, oh, it's going to be tunnel vision.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just my favorite part is learning. I don't know about you guys. Like what?
I can relate because I feel the same way. Like what you were saying, when you have your paralegal hat on,
Hmm.
it's almost like more things are clicking. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it's now I understand the back side of everything, and then it just makes me better at what I
You
do.
understand the why.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
think
Like we know the how, but the why is what we're really getting into now. And I just love, I love not only the professional aspect of helping, litigants, but also the relationships that we've all created. Like we've really bonded over this, all of us.
Trauma bonded,
trauma
yes.
bonded, yes, my trauma bonded. But we all knew each other before. We'd see each other maybe, once every 5 years or something like that. But now we actually we communicate a lot.
And I think it's surprising too about how much like we didn't know about each other, about some of the LLPs that we met in El Paso County who had been opposing paralegals like cases. I didn't think anything negative of them, but I wasn't like, I didn't get to know them. There's some of them I would get to know, but then meeting them and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a person. And like, I really like this person. I didn't really know them. And I feel like that's really helped out as well because it's having also that professional support. And now I have people I can reach out to too and confirm, be like, hey, do you know the case law on this or that? And I think we do a good job about that and building each other up. And
I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, and if anything they said, I'm 100% with it. The community, I think one of the things I really appreciate that I can help out more, especially on a pro bono level, where I can, at like the family law days and such, sit down with people and actually give a little bit more than I used to be before. So that's the only thing I would add, and I think you guys, probably would agree with that. Speaking of which, we're doing the divorce shop second Saturday in March, which is March 14th. It will be from 10 to noon. I will post more on where it will be.
And all three of us will be there.
I know, we'll be there. You'll see us there in person.
Yes. And just to follow up on what Jessica said, as far as Family Law Day, I think we discussed it our last podcast episode. But it's just, one of those
Clinics.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Clinics that the Court and Justice Center and Colorado Legal Services puts on for the community. And so before we were LLPs, we would volunteer in a paralegal capacity.
We're just checking in and giving people name tags.
Yeah. Being
we're happy to move forward on those days.
Exactly. But now we can actually sit at the table and give that legal advice to those people, which is always, we always have so many people that come to those clinics and so many people need that assistance and they may not need to retain a counsel, but they just need that, 15, 20 minutes to just bounce, some questions off somebody. And so it's really, really good that we're able to provide that service to the community.
Yeah, and we'll post more on that as well. Planning starting soon on that every year. There's also Legal Resource Day later in the year as well. So we'll post more on that. But next up, of course, is March 14th, 10 to noon, the divorce workshop, where we'll be talking about this again a little bit more.
Yeah, and we'll post those details in the comments below. So if anybody wants to come join us
and if as always, just comment below, let us know what you're thinking. We're glad to be here talking football and LLP with you.
Yes.
Thanks, Meghan, for being here with us.
Yes, we're so happy to have our first guest, Meghan.
Yay. Yeah, we did it. All right, well, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you at the next month for our next episode, the third one.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.